afternoon, Michael Malice here, and let that be your welcome for the next hour. We have with us a very special guest, the last of the Skanks to do the show.
Yeah.
Big Jay Oakerson, co-host of Legion of Skanks, which is a flagship show at this network, co-host of SDR with Ralph Sutton, who might be a shaved Sasquatch, and co-host
more than likely
of the Bonfire with Dan Soder on Sirius.
Yes, indeed.
He was just on a few weeks ago. I got a lot of questions because you work with a lot of cool people who I like, every single one of them, and also you work with Dave. The Skanks they just came for you. There was a piece in, what was that, Slate?
Slate, yeah.
Yeah, trying to refer
magazine.
to you guys as conservatives.
Conservative comedy.
Because conservative, sitting here with the nose ring, tattoos, 1990s surfer hair.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when that article hit?
That either I or they didn't know the meaning of conservatism, and I was willing to completely default and say that I didn't know, and somehow I am this thing they're saying, but it doesn't sound right to me. Again, someone put out a tweet that said, "I'm pretty sure Lewis and Jay can't even give you a great definition of what conservatism is," and I was like, "Touche."
It's Dave Smith's ideology.
Yeah? Is that conservative
Christian
now?
conservative Dave Smith.
Christian conservative?
Yeah.
I thought he was all libertarian guy now.
No. He's gotten much more radical.
It's twisted?
Yeah, he got it twisted. No, but I mean, you saw what was your reaction with the backlash at the Skank Fest, which was a huge success? I was there, right?
Yeah.
And here's my story with that. I wasn't invited. And then I'm like, I don't need to be invited. I work here. I'm welcome. And my welcome. And I showed up and everyone was so cool. Like all the fans were really, really warm and cool.
Sweet, nice people.
Really friendly. No one was in my face. Like if you go to libertarian events, everyone's on the spectrum, so they don't understand like how to give you your space physically or emotionally. But everyone's friendly and cool. And the comedians were top notch. They all killed. And also Dave was there. So, but then you saw the Louis C.K. thing.
Yeah, but you know, our fans are like, they're just comedy dorks, and whatever that means. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like certainly isn't an insult. I was the same thing myself. You know, I loved stand-up comedy when I was a kid and followed it pretty closely, like through teen years until I did it. So it's just like they're just fans of a thing. They're not, you know, these aren't, I mean, there are, I mean, look, we have, I'm sure all walks of life listen to the show, but for the most part, the people that like follow it close and give a shit or are emotionally invested in it are just like blue collar people, you know what I mean? Who just
like to laugh.
Just like to laugh, yeah. And they're so thankful for it and sweet. You know, my girlfriend says she's never been treated, it's more respectful of an audience, the way they treat women and everything, and get out of the way and not bother anybody, and the way they're able to keep the cell phones away during the naked roast battle. It seems like, you know, someone could fuck somebody over there. It never does.
The only woman who got treated badly is Shannon. And that's by Lewis on stage.
And that's just by Lewis, one person. Now, granted,
but then, and here's the other thing: you put on this 3-day show for everyone. They see like so many comedians. There's 3 stages. They get to see Louis C.K., which they otherwise would not be able to see probably under any circumstances. And the response is backlash and hate. What was your reaction to that?
Well, the response in the room was
love.
I mean,
amazing.
It couldn't have been more love. I mean, they exploded. With happiness, that crowd. And then backlash and hate was mostly from the venue kind of putting it out there.
Yeah.
Well, no, I guess initially it was when they, when
social media a bit.
Social media putting out the introduction. And then my actual thing was sad, and I was saddened by that because I understand, like, again, I said, having like the burden of perspective is that I think it sucks that if you're someone who believes that Louis C.K. is a vile man who should be in prison for the things he did, and you just can't get past what he did. You think it was borderline rape, what he's done. And then you see a room of people cheering like that when he comes out. Just if you're unable to be convinced anything else than Louis C.K. is like evil, then you just watched a room of people like cheering for a rape. You know, it's like what they're describing, what the people who were trying to make propaganda out of it like describe. Is that where everyone's cheering in solidarity over this rapist piece of shit.
Right.
When what it was people who weren't expecting this legendary living legend comic to walk out on stage, and he does. And then they see that it's real, that he actually is there, and they're just excited because he's been gone for a while. These are people who decided not to, like, you know, burn him at the stake for what he did and handle it a little more reasonably. And it's a mucked up, beautiful moment.
But it's also weird because laughing isn't a choice, right? If you tell a funny joke, people will laugh. It's a visceral reaction. It's not like, let me think about this. Oh, it's humorous. Output laughter, right?
Right.
So if someone is a rapist, let's suppose someone's a literal rapist. If they go on stage and tell jokes, those jokes are still going to be funny.
Still could be funny, yeah.
You don't know what this person's like once they're off stage. The humor in what their content does not change.
No.
Maybe your assessment of them changes. But, I mean, it's also the idea, like, Legion of Skanks, the idea that your audience thinks you guys are angels is also...
Yeah.
Like, what?
Well, you know, as I said, it's the people who try to portray themselves as angels, I think, are the ones that who you have to be scared of the most. Don't have their shit out there, or the weird things they've done. Do you know what I mean? I think the people that come clean's even the wrong word, like use it in their humor even, or in their way to relate to people. You know, I say a lot of people relate to like failures, fuck-ups, mistakes, embarrassment. You know, only a few people can really relate to like extreme success or nonstop crushing pussy or whatever, you know, but a lot of people, everybody relates to like not getting the person you wanted, not getting the job, not being a failure. Everyone has that and those fears of that. So it's a much more relatable thing than like, you know, braggadocious comedy.
Speaking of things I can't relate to, the three of you were performing at Caroline's, and I'm backstage, and you're like, "Hey, Michael Malice," and I'm like, "Oh, Big J knows who I am." It was a very exciting moment. And then when I ran into you again at Skankfest, you were like, "Oh, nice to meet you," and I'm like, "Yeah, we met before," so that moment got taken away. No, this happened, I promise.
Yeah, I believe you, but I might have just been like, I mean, I know who you are, of course. Yeah, I knew when you came on the network and everything.
But your performance was so amazing, and I was just so blown away because you had this whole bit about walking in on your daughter and accidentally seeing her naked. How old was she?
She's 14.
14.
Whatever,
and you're just like, full bush. And it was like this mix of cringe humor and like actual jokes, and everyone in the audience wants to kind of kill themselves, but they're also laughing. But you are completely deadpan. So is it hard for you when you see an entire room losing their minds, both being uncomfortable and laughing at the same time, to maintain that like total facade?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I just laugh with them if it's in them. I laugh probably too much during my own comedy sets, but it's because a lot of it. Sometimes it's, you know, it feels like maybe it is for effect. I don't know. I worry about that. It doesn't feel like it's never genuine when I laugh on stage, but sometimes, you know, you wonder like, oh, am I doing it because I'm just leading the charge? I don't know. It's something I wrestle with ultimately, but no, it's not hard, especially if it's a joke that I know like that, like a bit that I was working on that I've heard it so much now that it's got to be performed. Do you know what I mean? So I know how to like keep the deadpan on that. When
you are queuing up that bit, I'm sure, does that bit ever not kill?
I haven't done it in so long.
Oh, is that right?
Well, it was on my Netflix special, so I stopped telling it after that live. But
when you were doing that, did you know, did it kill every single time?
Yeah. I'm trying to think how it goes at the end. It's full bush. I can't remember.
And then you had a girlfriend who wanted to shave, and you're like, "What am I, a pedophile?"
Like, yeah, that's right.
She didn't want to shave.
Yeah,
like,
she had full bush. I was like, "What are you, child?" Yeah. Yes, at least by the time we get to that point, because also sometimes the people that didn't laugh hard, I think there was great punches within the actual like odd moment of talking about my daughter in that capacity. Yeah. However, when you give someone the escape hatch of just the joke about the other girl, you know, calling her a child, getting that, I'm gonna shave your pussy like an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my question is, what's your thought process when you have a bit that kills every single time and you have it queued up? Is it excitement, or you're like, you do this so long, you just, it's kind of second nature to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's excitement at first, and then like, I mean, for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, then I try to like, if I get it going good, then I pocket it to just like the road, more or less. So when I go on the road, I just do it, and then this way it does feel sort of like, special. You know, I'm only saying, and then even on the road, I won't do it. Generally, I try not to do too many jokes back to back. shows even on the road. So maybe like 3 shows a weekend, I'll pull out a joke versus, and then when I'm home, you know, doing sets, I just try to find new stuff. But it is, yeah, no, I mean, I definitely get old. You definitely get sick of the jokes after a while, for sure, after you've tell them when you're going autopilot. But I also try to tell them without like a stiff, regimented telling, you know, so I can kind of play with it as it goes on. They kind of grow. The problem with that is then you end up getting it on like TV or something before you're like, oh, there's such a better part of that now. You know, it's grown.
That is a great problem to have.
Yeah.
Oh, my joke got on TV before it was perfected.
Yeah, before it was great.
So you've been doing comedy now for 20 years. What do you like best about it?
Really the connection to the people, the live art, and just connecting to a live audience like that is such an amazing feeling.
Yeah, that energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's. Can you describe that to people who aren't comics?
It's interesting. Again, the dead silence in the room is such an interesting part of comedy. That means in the beginning you're like, oh, I'm eating shit. To where as you move on, you realize like, no, they're listening.
Yeah.
They're intently listening, and you have them completely. And that's like, I think that's the coolest moment for it. When you have that, it's interesting because I used to remember that panic from that noise. But when they're quiet, I'm like, even if they are quiet on something where I'm like, there should have been at least a chuckle there. That was sort of a funny thing I just said, but you're still like, but they are hanging on every word. I didn't say. Again, I'm never blaming the audience fully. I'm like, maybe it's me. Maybe I didn't say it right. You know, something like that didn't convey it that well.
Yeah, I mean, when you guys have blown up so much since you were at Compound, where I have my other show. How have you seen the show develop since then?
Skanks?
Yeah,
it really, man. I mean, Lewis is such a salesman and just a wacky character. This the whole idea of this network seemed so pipe dreamy, and then him and Ralph are just 2 guys who are get it done dudes. And they just believe in themselves, you know, and they're like, "This, we could make this happen." And they've had it go, and then, you know, we've been waiting over the years for our controversy. I remember me and Lewis and Dave doing this in Lewis's apartment when he lived on 21st Street here in the city, and just gathered around an iPhone, and then like, you know, a computer, and then he had a little mixer, Lewis, and he always was like kind of like trying to have the technology around to be able to do this stuff at the most ground level. So I've always just believed in Lewis is like a salesman, man. He goes for it.
He's a hustler.
Like,
in a positive sense.
Yeah, in the most positive sense. He's it's pretty kick-ass what he does. And then just, you know, Lucky brings me and Dave along for, like, you know, he believes in the product that we all have together. And then we did it, which has been pretty amazing. And then, like, you know, some things I've been doing comedy longer than Dave and Lewis. And so just circumstantially, some opportunities I've had have put me in like different spots that have brought more light to everything. And then Dave doing his special, getting all the Fox News stuff he was doing and the headline news stuff, pretty amazing drawing. So we get all these eyes coming from these different places.
Yeah.
You know, Lewis runs around. He's the, you know, podcast whore. He's on every show ever, always running around. So it's been amazing. But this last week coming with, you know, the conservative comedy thing shows like, oh, there it is. We were kind of waiting for years. The end of our first year, we had 400 listeners.
Wow.
Just gathered around at Lewis's house, and it was like, whoa. Like, it really, I remember feeling like 400 people care what we're saying, you know, and now the numbers are severely higher than that.
800.
Yeah, 800. We've doubled. In just 8 years.
Is it 8 years?
I'm doing almost 8 years, yeah.
What's the biggest argument you've ever had with Dave?
Dave Smith?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Is it Lewis? Because it's easy to think of arguments you've had with Lewis. It doesn't have to be an argument. It could be disagreement.
You know, me and Dave's biggest argument was like a trivial thing.
That's the best one.
That was like on the show, and I don't even remember exactly what it was. Bobby Hutch might remember.
Bobby.
I can't remember what it was. It was something. Oh, it was over something like, just like semantics issue or so. You know, somebody like should have apologized for cutting somebody off or something like that.
That's it.
Yeah, it was that dumb, but it was just like a very. I think I felt like Dave like dismissed me when I was kind of like, "Hey, dude, that was kind of like fucked up."
Oh,
he just like stepped on something. It was like me more than likely just being bitchy, and Dave being like, you know, not combative even, but just kind of like, fuck you kind of thing. And I think it was on the air, it was like just like unspoken like weirdness and like I think we talked like 2 days later about it. I don't think he even knew that I was upset or anything. It was just ridiculous and went nowhere. So really, man, me and Dave, not a lot of
you
battles.
You just did a Dave face. Like, I don't even know if you realize it, but like I've seen him make that exact face. So there's got to have been a big fight with Lewis at some point.
Oh, yeah. Me and Lewis have some wars.
That's the one, yeah. What's the biggest one with him?
Again, I don't even remember what it was necessarily about, other than it just goes to, like, you know, emails of fighting each other or even just like talking as volatile shit. And then again, getting over it in a week. I think women have a much better ability to fight with a friend for long stretches of time. My ex-wife used to have like friends that would be like the everyday friend around constantly for months, and then a falling out over nonsense. Oh, you know, just like she said something to my friend behind my back that was not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And not talking for 2 years, and then coming back together after 2 years. I have,
Jesus.
If I'm in a problem with a friend, particularly, every night I go to sleep, it'll be a thing until I've resolved that.
Okay.
It weighs on me. So I said, we're having big fights with friends, like not a ton, because even if it spikes big, it's over quick, because I have to, like, even if I don't believe that I'm as sorry as the other person should be, I'd rather just be like, hey, we either have to not be friends ever again or just get past this. Yeah. You know?
So speaking of fights, that's how the name of the show happened.
Yeah. My ex-wife.
What happened there?
She yelled. We were fighting about something, probably cheating. And we weren't married even yet at this point. And Lewis had just become buddies over Guitar Hero. The game Guitar Hero. He would come over and play it at my house. Said he was good at it, and he would come over and play.
Was he good at it?
And he was fine. Yeah, we were both pretty good, and it was a fun game to play together. And like maybe the second time he ever came over to hang out and play it, me and her got into a major fight, and we're leaving to go to. We're getting ready to leave to go to the city and go to work. And so we're walking out the door. She's coming out and screaming at me about something, and I go, I don't have time to deal with this shit. I'm going to work. And she goes, oh, yeah, you going to work? She goes, yeah, go to work. She goes, run off and go fucking hang out with your legion of skanks. And I went, fuck you. And then turned around to Lewis and went, that'd be a good name for a band in Guitar Hero. And we made it our Guitar Hero band name, and then just started naming everything we did Legion of Skanks.
Oh, so how did Dave join the trio?
Guitar Hero. He was the bass. He was on bass. Yeah.
So was that automatically going to be the name of the show?
No. So our first episode ever, it's funny if you hear it, it's us discussing what to call the show. And I'm such a buffoon that I keep naming show titles accidentally that are other very popular shows.
Like the Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah. Let's call it the Joe Rogan Experience. No, but definitely it was like Talking Shit, which was Eddie Ifft and Jim Jeffries had that for a while. I think I even suggested What the Fuck, which is, you know, obviously Mark Maron, WTF.
Yeah.
And then I wish we had it clean. It's one of my biggest sadnesses that we don't have a legit, original, clean piece of this, because it would be great for the intro of the show, I feel like.
Why don't you have this?
It's because one of us just talks, me or Dave says something over the sentence. But Lewis goes, why don't we just call it Legion of Skanks? We call everything Legion of Skanks. So it's such a cool like origin of the name of the show.
Oh, man. So you've been doing comedy now for 20 years. What do you like best about it?
I think really just getting to know a different city every weekend. You know, you start to go and you become familiar with a different place and the food and the local fare and which way you should walk and where it becomes dangerous and where it becomes fun. And just that, it's cool. It's becoming familiar with our country.
Michael Malice here. Are you feeling a bit flaccid? Well, that's what Blue Chew's about. If you go to bluechew.com, promo code Malice, you get for $5 shipping your first order of chewables. These are chewables for men that have the same active ingredient as Viagra and Cialis. They work faster than pills, and you could take them on a full stomach or on an empty stomach. You don't got to go to a doctor. You don't have to have an awkward conversation. You don't got to wait in line in a pharmacy. It takes a few minutes. You get a prescription with a BlueChew.com affiliate physician. And if you qualify You know what to tell them, people. Come on. No, I don't need Blue Chew. Tell them you need Blue Chew. You get prescribed online quickly. It gives you confidence in bed every time. I don't think it makes the boing noise. I can't speak on that. What I can tell you is if you go to bluechew.com, promo code Malice, it's just $5 shipping for these chewables. Back to the show. So are you surprised? What's the most, do people like send you stuff all the time?
What do you mean?
Like art and presents? And,
sure, yeah.
I mean, at what point does it still fun or does it get annoying?
No, it's fun depending on what it is. You know, original art's always pretty neat and stuff like that. Food is just like sometimes wasted because you're like, I don't know if I'm going to eat something, you know, especially if someone made it. Some sealed shit, maybe. They'll send care packages from whatever gas station fast food they want to put up against my favorite gas station fast food, which is Wawa. And so people send stuff like that to the radio show and all kinds of other things. Weapons we've been sent.
What kind of weapons?
Oh, collapsible police batons.
Oh.
Before, I think maybe like a bulletproof, I don't know, maybe like a helmet or something. We've been sent like a lot of odd things. And then like the one I always feel bad about is shirts and stuff because they're never going to fit. They never go anywhere. At very best, you're going to get my girlfriend wearing it to bed.
What size shirt are you so people know?
I'd go 2XLT, but I just don't wear a lot of like.
Yeah, you're big at the hoodies.
Yeah,
You've got that whole Juggalo look going.
Yeah, I got my Juggalo look going. I'm starting a gathering.
Who's chicken hunting? Wait, so there's something I do want to talk to you about that's more serious.
Mm-hmm.
Are you comfortable talking about what just happened with your buddy at the stand?
Sure, yeah.
Because let's explain to everybody. I asked Nate, who's my producer, to have you in here, and after I asked him to contact you, there was the worst possible thing.
Sure.
And I had Dan in here a couple weeks ago, and he's had some really bad tragedies in your life, and you had said, look, I'm not doing any appearances until, you know, I've dealt with this a little bit. Now that you're here, I mean, do you want to explain kind of what happened and how you found out?
Yeah, I found out, unfortunately, 20 minutes before I had to go on stage in Cincinnati, Ohio. But, yeah, it was like through like rumor mill. But Dave Kimowitz, who was my manager for 8 years and one of the owners of the Stand Comedy Club, family, 2 little girls, a beautiful wife, amazing. His family are our dentists, and they're the Kimowitzes. It's out in New Jersey somewhere, and they're the brother, the dad, and the mom all work at the dentist office. The dad and brother are dentists. They're the sweetest, like pun making. They speak in dental puns only.
Is that the tooth?
But yeah, exactly. And that is, I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying everything is like that. And just the sweetest family. And then one night, Dave went home. His wife and kids were down the shore at a shore house, and he was going to meet him the next morning. He was at the Stand that night, left, went home, went to bed in his house that he's lived in for about 18 months. They had a live-in nanny who had a boyfriend who has, I found out well after this, boyfriend has spent time with it. He's been with the family before. Like, he's met them.
I didn't realize
that. I didn't know that at first either.
That
like
makes it so much more fucked up.
He's been to dinner with them.
Oh my God.
Passover at the parents' house. And
oh my God.
Crazy. And so he's seen the interaction of this family, you know. And still he came in. His girlfriend was the nanny. She dumped him, I guess, over the phone and said, I need that key back that you have. And he came in and simply just, everyone assumed kind of when you heard the story that he was killed by the nanny's boyfriend. You were like, oh, he came in.
Yeah.
They were going at it. He tried to break it up. He paid the price. You know, he paid the ultimate price. And instead, completely senseless. It was just, he was sleeping in bed and just simply to get him out of the way so he can go, I guess, torture his chick or whatever. But that was it. Just killed him senselessly. So if the wife was there and the kids, they would have done it to them.
Oh, my God.
If it was anything like that, and it's just so crazy random. I mean, not random. It's not random, I guess is the wrong word for it, but just like something like, you know, 3 minutes before that happened, you know, it wasn't like anything was imminent in your life.
Right.
Like 3 minutes before it was happened, maybe he was just nodding off to like Family Guy you know what I mean? Like, and like kind of giggling. And then nightmare.
Dan talked about, Soder talked about that when his sister was killed when he was in high school, and I had a similar reaction when my friend passed away last month. That his reaction was disbelief and anger. It's like when my friend called me, he's like, "Oh, Eric's dead." I was like, "What? Shut up!" It's like, what are you talking? I couldn't relate it to reality because, like you were saying, it's so nonsensical.
Yeah.
What was your who was it who called you, and what was your reaction?
Lewis.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, Lewis called me. And really, actually, what he did was he asked me to... he was like, hey, I don't know if this is true. He was like, I just heard like a rumor of this, basically. There's something... And he just goes, something bad happened to Dave. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no. And I just like, I actually took that as like, I'm like, no, he's just like...
Yeah, stupid
he's
prank.
He's not answering. No.
Oh.
Like, I mean, he's just not answering his phone for somebody
sure.
is whatever the thing is like.
Calm down. Yeah.
Please, like murder. Dave was murdered. Why would that be the case?
Right. It's if Lewis was, it's like, all right, we saw this coming.
That's when someone goes like, "How this is not Lewis?" But I mean, genuinely, you're just like, I mean, like murder. Come on.
That's
like,
not a thing.
It's ridiculous. So I just called. I texted him, Dave. I was like, "Hey, buddy, what's up?" I was like, "You around?" And I'm just like getting dressed for the show, looking at my phone, we're waiting for like the three dots.
Yeah.
You know, that he's writing back, and like, you know, it was only like 5 minutes, but he didn't. And I was like, well, all right. Then I was like, let me text his brother, just because like now I just need to hear before I go to my show, like, yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
And I text his brother, and no answer, like there. So I was like, real. So then I called Dave, like, you know, speakerphone, goes to voicemail, like right away, not even ringing. So then I was like, let me call his brother real quick. You know, when I call his brother answered the phone. Like, oddly enough, it was like, hey, Jay, you know, like, didn't seem like it was even like, you know, I was almost happy to hear that because I go, hey, have you heard from Dave today at all? And he was like, no. And like calm, but definitely not as jovial. You said they're like a pun family. Now he's not being quite as jovial, but he didn't seem like the worst news ever.
Right. Just said no.
He's like, no. And I go, how about yesterday? And he kind of cuts me off, and he's like, no. I goes, Dave got killed yesterday. And he kind of like half told me the story of what happened, and I was just like, holy shit. Like, just, again, it just seems unreal. The day before that, like, afternoon texting, you know, I was getting mad of a phone call I didn't want to have, or somehow I was like, hey, let's move this phone call around. He's like, you sure? You know, we're like kind of laughing about like,
of course,
dicking these people around or whatever. But like, you know, just any other day thing. Bizarre, man. Yeah, it's such a strange thing. My girlfriend took it extremely hard. She worked with them for years, and so it was rough on her, as we both know the family very well. So it's just the craziest thing as far as that goes I've ever dealt with.
How did you perform?
Just immersed into it, actually.
Did you say anything to the crowd?
No. Honestly, just good shows. And then when I came home and told that on the radio Monday, we went live on Monday on Bonfire and then took the rest of the week off.
Yeah. And
when we went, a lot of people like wrote in that were there. There was like, holy shit, dude, I would have never, like, I'm sorry I asked for a picture after the show and stuff. I was like, because here's the thing, it was nighttime already. I couldn't go home. There was no way I was going to fly. You can't get a Cincinnati flight out at that point. It would have been like, you know.
And what's that going to do anyway?
Yeah, and what am I going to do? I'm going to come home to what? Just be sad here? So I was like, I'm here. The people were sitting in their seats already for the first show. It is what it is. You know, we're here. So just kind of got to do it. And just got through it. But they were good shows. I almost felt bad about that for one point. I'm like, I feel bad they were good shows. But I just completely immersed myself. And I went to all the crowd work and just kept doing that to kind of keep my mind busy. It doesn't even seem quite, when you hear information like that, it's still,
right.
I'm away from home, so I can't even process how real it is. Do you know what I mean? There's no immediate effect on my life. I'm like, I still have to go home tomorrow morning. I got to do these shows. I got to, do you know what I mean? Like, and then when you get home, you're like, oh shit, the world's different here.
I don't think you're ever going to be able to process it.
No.
Completely, because it's so nonsensical.
So nonsensical.
It's just like, this doesn't, it will never make sense.
Ever.
No. It'll never be like, I understand why someone would do it.
Even if the guy spoke eloquently on the situation, it won't make sense.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever the reason is.
When I was graduated college, a friend of mine killed himself. And when we found out, we just started cracking jokes that night because it was so crazy to us and so out of nowhere. And after that, I did stand up for like 6 months, and I stopped because suicide jokes, they either land or they don't. And when they don't land, you walk the room. So it was a tough row to hoe. I know how comedians' brains work. How long did it take for you to be cracking jokes in your own mind? Did that ever happen?
Minutes later,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when they even said the club was like, they were even like, do you want us to get like a different headliner tonight? We can just call somebody in, they'll come over. Even if you do like the first show and you want to not do the second show. And I was like, no, I was like, I mean, like I'm here. Like, what am I going to do? I was like, I might as well go on. I was like, plus I get to keep that extra 10% now. So I'm just like, what else am I going to say? You know? Yeah, we laughed a bunch at the funeral, on the way home. I mean, like, and it's like a super sad, emotional thing. You know, we're not monsters. Despite what these articles will tell you, we're not monsters. It's just our coping mechanism of that stuff. Like, immediately we had to have.
It's also odd to me that someone who you would think, I've never met him. If someone runs a comedy club, they want people to be laughing.
Sure.
That's his goal in life.
He would have absolutely loved that. Like I said, these guys, you know, his brothers took selfies with the coffin at the end of the thing. You know what I mean? Like, with really giving, like, you know, peace signs and everything. And they did it on purpose to look like dildos. You know, it's a douchebag. They're like, he would think this is funny. It's true. Like I said at the sitting shiva at the house, a Haitian, you know, lady came up and got a bunch of sippy cups for the kids and went back downstairs. And I leaned over to someone and went, another nanny? These people don't learn, huh? And you're like, is that in poor taste? Like, sure, but like, it's all we can do, man. Look, we're sad the rest of the time. So if there's a moment you can throw some levity, just kind of laugh at how ridiculous this is.
I told Soder, I think legally speaking now, he's Lewis's dad.
Yeah.
But
that's the trajectory.
By law, I mean, that's what happened. I'm glad that you're able to kind of regroup after this. Like, my thoughts, and I'm sure yours are, I don't know if you could talk on this, are with the family and those kids. I mean...
Yeah, they're doing, you know, they're doing as well as can be expected, you know, as good as can be expected. Look, they're a great family. The family's really close. They're really tight. They're financially fine. You know, they're like they're comfortable family, and it's just like they're gonna be fine for sure. But I mean, that anger, I don't know how you can get rid of that anger. If I was them, you know what I mean? Like, the anger in me is, it's got to be less, you know what I mean, than what they're feeling inside. This rage in this situation where it's like, what's the right answer for this guy to do? Like, killing him or in jail forever, or what is, like, who knows what the answer is to make it? None of it fixes anything.
Right. Exactly. And there's also, I mean, is that disturbing for you to know that this guy's still walking around the same planet as us? Disturbing's
the wrong word. More than what I'm intrigued, maybe is the wrong word. What I'm intrigued by is being involved in something that crazy. The way the mind, like, accommodates, I guess, is what I mean. Like, he's involved in something that crazy. And then I saw a video, whatever it was, a week later after he was caught, of him going to arraignment or whatever.
Yeah.
And he walked in and just, like, dress clothes, tucked in shirt, a belt, and, like, his hair done, you know. And just whatever it was, something about the idea that you could be involved. Like, you've murdered two people, like, in a violent way. It wasn't like an accidental, you hit a button and you find out, like, the house fell in on itself, you know. Like, not get, like, hand to body, like, murdered people. And then, like, some point of that day, you're, like, in a mirror. And it is kind of funny, but, like, you're in a mirror going, like, you know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, or just tucking in your shirt, making sure your shirt's tucked in properly. I'm like, how is anything, like, tangible anymore in your life when you've been involved in something that fucking... You feel like you would just be, like, staring in a chair for the rest of your life, like, processing what you've done.
Yeah, I had Terry Shepard on last week. He's a Green Beret, and, you know, he's got a lot of people in the military, and, you know, they've seen combat. And I am like, look, is it true what they say that once you've killed someone, and that's in combat, that's military, you know?
Sure.
Does it screw you up for life? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Everyone reacts differently. But if I think it's impossible for us to imagine these circumstances, because even if we could get to the point of, like, I'm going to get back at my girlfriend, the idea of, well, if someone else is there, it's too bad for them. That's like an order. That's an order removed from sanity.
Exactly.
Even more.
Yeah. Exactly. You're like, you know, and I don't know the nanny, and not even a disrespect to her, but just when being selfish in your thoughts, it even goes to, I'm like, why? It's like, just go kill your goddamn girlfriend, man. I'm like, what do you like?
Yeah. What
did this guy do? Take you out to dinner a couple times, you know what I mean? Like, treated you nice. It seems like, you know, like you're upset with her, but you know, you don't want nothing bad to happen to her too. And it's just like, you know, she paid the ultimate price too, probably maybe more violently even, you know, because she was like aware of it all and awake. I don't know how long the whole process took. You never know if you even want to know that stuff.
Right.
You know, the report with the cop just said he doesn't want to, bless you. He said he doesn't want to ever talk about what he saw in there.
Allergic to murder.
Bless you. He said he doesn't want to talk about what he saw in the room.
Good
so
Lord.
You're like, man, what does that even mean? You know what I mean?
So
we try to say that also. It was just like, it wasn't that it was that violent. It was like just Dave was doing weird stuff. He had like a butt plug in and like a ball gag in his mouth. And he's like, but everything else is just like a cut and dry, like murder. But I think he goes, I don't want to talk about what I saw in there. He goes, nothing to do with the murder. The murder was pretty run of the mill. He goes, it's what I saw in that room.
It was just a Passover dinner. It was a Seder.
It's a Seder happening.
There's this flat bread, and then he's got this horseradish. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Oh, good Lord. So of your 3 shows, right, everyone loves all their kids equally.
Sure.
Sure. What do you like? Which is your favorite show to do?
Oh, there isn't. They're all like such, got their own like positive thing.
So what do you like about each one?
Bonfire is just, me and Dan just have such unique chemistry, I think. You don't find that a lot of things.
Does anyone not like him?
Dan?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some visceral hatred for Dan Soder somewhere.
He's really likable.
Oh, he's the most likable.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Not Ralph.
You have to see. You have to see. They always make fun of in the hallways. All the black women DJs that are in Sirius XM in the hallway, they fawn over him.
Really?
They love him. And then Dan tries to incorporate me and be like, well, this is my partner, Jay. He's the best too. And they'd be like, I don't know that motherfucker. I know you and you funny. And Dan will be like, he's really funny too. He goes, he ain't as funny as you. It makes it worse the more he tries to get me involved.
Wait, it's like, can I bring my friend? She's got a great personality.
Yeah.
No.
My fat friend. Get your fat friend out of here. And they love him there. But that is just also, I've described it, that like my comedy is so Legion of Skanks, like leaning, and Dan's is not. You know, Dan's got a much more
wholesome.
Yeah, and like he's but fucking hilarious. You know what I mean? And the fact that we're able to kind of like, we kind of pull each other. He pulls me out of like the dirty so much, and I pull him a little edgier than he's normally used to being. So we find this like happy medium. It's great. Legion of Skanks I love because it's just like, you know, it's just someone throwing you underhanded pitches to knock out of the park. It's just us being us.
So much fun in that show.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's so much fun.
Lou
and it's contagious.
Chance. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I love that I said before, even the week they were coming with the Shane Gillis stuff and all the chinks talking everything, is there's like, I just love it because like as Lewis starts the show with like a chinks chant, and you're like, oh, this is like, you look over our shoulder and it's a woman who's never even been at our show before, an Asian girl, just laughing and doing it, like just getting it, just understanding it, because these articles come out and it starts to make you believe like, oh, man, are we pieces of shit? You know, Shane Gillis did this in his podcast, acknowledging the thing. And he's right. He's right that people on the other side of these arguments don't do this. But you start to think yourself, you're like, are we like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not trying to just like get away with saying the N-word on podcasts. Like I genuinely think when it's being hit, it's like either because it's meaningless and not trying to hurt anybody, or it's for the sake of humor.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? You're either recounting it, that's something someone said, or saying it, versus if you want to go like, and then that woman starts screaming nigger in the store, versus going like that woman screaming N-word. I think that's harmless, or in the sake of humor. You know, but there is a thing that starts to go like, oh, man, I don't want to seem like we're just trying to get away with it. You know, there's such a line in the wall. Yeah. And and I don't think the other side, I think the other side is just like, you're rotten, evil pieces of shit. And you're like, well, am I?
Yeah.
Am I, if I'm even considering what you're saying? Yeah. And then realizing that, no, you're like attacking like the wrong thing.
One of the things I started doing on Twitter, which has caught fire a little bit, is when these people do these things, I ask them, have you ever considered the possibility that you're one of the bad guys? And you know, they don't know what to say, because it's just take a little second and step back. You know, you're so right that you're the good person. Is it possible that you're the asshole in the situation?
But the thing, I know perspective. Yeah, I said you're having perspective, so I understand why somebody might go, that's why I will apologize for certain things. And I mean, apology is not for the sake of attempting humor. It's like, the ridiculousness of the Parkland survivor going, hey, Louis C.K., why don't you tell that at my house, that joke? And you're like, because it would, like, it's not really the nature of comedy.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't tell the joke about my, you know, your Nana being sick or your grandfather to them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not for that audience.
I had Andy Pollock, whose daughter Meadow was killed in Parkland, on my show a few weeks ago, and I had some jokes I was going to do with him. And then, because I wanted to be like, you know, this is a tough interview. I mean, I don't even know how to talk to you because I can't wrap my head around what you're going through. And I want him to say things like, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. This must be really hard.
On you.
But one time he was here and I'm talking to him, that all went out the window. You know what I mean? It was so like absolutely intense. Did you know that Lewis caused the last episode of Red Eye never to be aired because of the Asian racist jokes? Did you know this?
No.
Oh, yeah. The last episode of Red Eye, it's me, Kumia, Kristen Tate, and Lewis. And there's a bit about they were having an Uber where all the drivers were going to be female, right? And we're all making jokes about like, okay, so they're going to be an Uber just for car accidents and so on and so forth. And someone was like, well, it's a good thing it's not an Uber for Asian drivers. And Lewis, being Lewis, just goes on this tear about how, well, you know, it's not like they have souls anyway, right? And we all have earpieces on. And I've done many, many TV appearances. This is the only time the producer piped in the ear because it's all comedians and Kristen. So we're all jumping in on each other. Well, I guess I'm not a comedian, but whatever. And they pipe in, they go, can you please stop saying that Asians don't have souls? And it went out for so long, they're like, we can't edit around this. So the episode never aired. Thanks to
Because
Lewis.
Asians don't have souls.
Because Asians don't have souls.
That was gingers.
Well, no, I was saying it's us, Jews.
Yeah. The Jews don't have souls?
Yeah, of course not. So, and what do you like about working with Ralph and SDR?
SDR show is the most, for one, it's the least amount of work I have to bring to the table. Like Ralph is
he's a beast.
He's a beast. Yeah. He's hands on. He gets it done. He gets the guests. You know, he produces the whole thing, and basically he makes it that my job is to just show up and be funny on it and have fun. And then, you know, it's the one place. Ironically, you know, Legion of Skanks never became a show that was like, we interviewing porn stars and blah, blah, blah. And on the Bonfire, if we do it, it's so few and far between that we have, that's mostly just comics on and you know, hopefully some, you know, bigger guests from the serious world there. And SDR is just, you know, rock star, porn star, some version of that, and then coming and just doing weird stuff. And it's just, you know, it flies by and it's a blast always. Yeah. It's usually right before I'm flying out to another city on Thursday morning to like tonight. We're doing it, and then tomorrow I leave for Orlando.
How do you handle all the travel? Does it get to you?
Poorly physically, but I mean...
Do you get sick all the time from planes and stuff?
No, it's not that I get sick. I just don't know how good it could be for your body. Like, Thursday night, like tonight, I'll sleep. Flight's at 7
p.m.
a.m. tomorrow.
Okay.
So tonight, when I get done SDR show, I'll come home. By the time I legitimately start to get tired or nod off, 3 o'clock in the morning... have to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning for the airport. So, you know, you get up 2 hours and I'll go. It's a 2-hour flight to Florida. I'll sleep hopefully as much as I can for that. Then you land, then you're awake somehow. And then at 4 o'clock, you're exhausted at 4 p.m. And then you take a nap. You go to do the show feeling like shit. Go to bed late Thursday, wake up early Friday for press, and then, you know, start that all over again.
Why are you flying so early?
Fucks your thing over. It's the first flight out is the only flight that for sure leaves on time.
Oh, wow.
And I just don't want to like miss a show for bullshit or be stuck at the airport in flying clothes and find out that I'm landing 20 minutes before my show, you know, stuff like that. So I just rather just get there. And yeah, I do, but you pay the price for it for sure. But like on time. And Saturday you get to sleep in. And then you wake up pretty much and pack, get ready to go, and then you leave stupid early Sunday morning. Start over again.
What's your favorite city?
You know, it sounds like complaining, but I mean, like it just is just a schedule.
Well, it is. I mean, I'm sure it starts to get to you. It's like a commute.
Sure, yeah, and then you know, every couple months, if we get like a week off, just to not do anything for like 5-6 days.
What's your favorite city to travel to?
I used to say San Fran, but San Fran became like so. The tech thing out there is just driven a lot of assholes and people out there. But the audiences are still awesome, but like the city isn't as fun as it was. I don't know. As far as like, now it just ends up being the places that are like weed friendly now that are kind of neat to go to, like the Seattles and Denvers and shit like that. Vegas is still too hot no matter what.
I was just in Toronto this past weekend, and I absolutely loved it because it's like a walking town.
Oh, did you do JFL 42?
What are these words?
Toronto this last weekend?
Yeah.
That just passed. There was a Soder was up there. It's
Oh, he was?
yeah, it's Just for Laughs 42 is the big comedy festival happening in town this
God
last
damn
weekend.
it! I could have been a VIP.
Yeah.
And instead, I was just an IP.
Soder did headlines all 3 nights, but it was like a whole bunch of comics out there. It was big festival.
Well, we had a lot of fun. But I mean, that's why I always ask comics what cities they like, because it's fun to you guys get to see a lot of America.
Yeah,
And
Toronto's a great city.
what's your least favorite city to go to?
It's got to be just like those ones where like you go and it's like you don't see anything around it. You know what I mean? Like it just seems like a little like digs. I think the clubs are always like kind of fun. Just trying to think of the areas where you go. I don't know. I'm going to Bridgeport, Connecticut in a couple weeks. I haven't heard good things. But it is kind of that, I guess, like Connecticut. So the Connecticut's always ends up being, it's a gig that's too close to the city to draw big, you know, because people are like, I can see this guy at any time for less money. Or the casino, which is a tough sell, you know, and an awkward kind of gig. And then, and yeah, besides that, and then there's the Bridgeport gig that I've heard, like it's in an odd place. So everything in Connecticut always seems like discombobulated and not forever. It seems like the clubs are always like kind of everything I performed in Connecticut is not the same as it was when I first started working there.
How do you
it's
know?
Like moved or shut down, another place opened up or something.
How do you know when you've made it as a comic?
I don't know. I'll let you know.
Oh, you've made it. Come on. How do you know? There's got to, like, when I started like trying to be an author, right? Like at a certain point, you're like, all right, I'm not saying I'm Agatha Christie here, but I'm
an author.
Yeah.
I mean, I would honestly say like it depends on perspective. You know, at one point I would have said I was doing okay. I mean, I always never was content with how I was doing, but there was a point early on where I was like surviving off of it, like pretty easily, and you know, not like well, but for many years, I'd say the bulk of my life, my adult life, has been getting by, like just doing comedy only, enjoying it, and at the end of the month, having all bills paid and owning like $300, $400 more on top of it.
Yeah.
You know, bills are paid and you start from that 300 and build it up for next month's bills to come get taken out of it. So I would have said at a point, in hindsight, like you're making it because some people can't even do that. They have to still supplement with other work. And, you know, I didn't have to do that for a while. But and then over the last like 5 years is when it was like, you started to feel like I was like, oh, like I'm in the world now.
Yeah, I'm in the biz.
Yeah, like I'm in the biz. Like, I'll come up in conversations about this or, you know, parts or roles or just comedy stuff in general, festivals and everything. So I think that's, I'd probably say about like the past 5 or 6 years.
I think the big lines are when you can pay your rent.
Yeah.
And then when you don't have to have a roommate.
Yes. Which again, I didn't have a roommate when I was married to my ex-wife. We stopped having a roommate at one point for a few years, then moved into my mother-in-law's house because she moved out of the country. She's Colombian, so moved back to Colombia. And we took over that house, but it really never felt like it was our house. We were basically renting someone else's house.
Like house sitting, yeah.
More or less house sitting is how it felt. And no roommate there. And then when me and her split and I moved to the city, right back to roommate for like 3 years. And then after that 3 years, I was able to say like, no roommate now, which is nice.
So you've been doing comedy now for 20 years. What do you like best about it?
Long shorts. That's the way I play it all year round. Long shorts. And pretty much until God dictates I cannot, with a couple inches of snow, I'm going to rock long shorts.
When's the short weather end and when does it start?
Short weather ends.
Or is it a temperature? Or is it a date?
It's a temperature, but I'll say a rough date. Come December, you catch me in shorts, I say something's wrong with the climate.
Okay. And when does it start?
And then short season starts back up again. Late March, early April. Yeah, as soon as society will allow it.
What's your favorite brand
of short?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm rocking Levi's.
Levi's is a great brand.
Basic.
A great staple. Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed. Fifth pocket.
Want to take a second to tell you guys about Blinkist. Blinkist is a great idea. They have a special offer. You go to Blinkist.com/malice. You get it free for 7 days and 25% off your new subscription. BLINKIST. What does it do? All those awful books, you don't want to sit down and read them. They've condensed them for 15 minutes. You can read all the most popular books. You sit down, you listen for 15 minutes or read for 15 minutes. You get the gist. And now you could talk about it at work. You could talk about it on dates. You could talk about it at job interviews or wherever human beings interact with other human beings. I wouldn't know. Not my thing. If you go to Blinkist.com/malice, you get it free for 7 days, 25% off your new subscription, and you also save 25%. Yeah, that's not bad. Here's some of the books they have. Becoming by Michelle Obama. Dale Carnegie, they've got the old school stuff. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You get it. Go check it out. Back to the show. What's it like being a comedian dad? Like, what's your relation? I mean, that's got to be a little weird.
It is weird. I think my daughter takes it. I think she likes, being talked about. One, she kind of likes the world. She only did it once. She took a comedy class and performed the graduation show and did well, I thought, for 14.
Yeah, and a girl.
She could kill her because I wouldn't have had the balls to even do it. I chickened out when I was 19.
Is that right?
Several times, yeah.
What gave you the balls to actually go through and do it?
Just making my friends come eventually.
Okay.
I kept telling them not to come because I didn't want to embarrass myself, but I kept chickening out. And then I was like, oh, if they pay their $5 to come to this open mic tonight, it'll like put pressure on me. I have to go up there. Also, then I started to be like, at least my friends will laugh at this shit. Like they don't even know what I'm going to say. And but they get my sense of humor, so they'll laugh at it at least. And these like Philly lunks that would kind of would be over, like laugh at my shit to like make me feel better.
Does it bother you when people who are the funny guy in their crowd of friends think that's the same thing as being a comedian?
It sort of is. I mean, I think it sort of is to some degree. It's just a matter of how you can focus that, I was the funny guy in my group of friends for sure. I mean, we had other funny guys too. I think I always was drawn to people who were funny that made me laugh. But I say overall, I think I was the person that the people would look to for like the funny. I think many might be me being like narcissistic, and everyone was like, "What? No,
you were never."
Like you were the driver. Like you were the guy with the car.
Yeah, we were making fun of you.
Yeah, I'm like I was like always I really had the. I wasn't the ladies' man. They're like, right. I was never the athlete. Like I was always the comedian. Like, huh?
I guess if we got to slot him somewhere.
I guess the funny guy. We were gonna call him the guy always saying we should go get something to eat. we thought he was the hey, Taco Bell's open always guy. Yeah, it's so ridiculous. But yeah, but you can be that. It's a matter of just like focusing the thing. A lot of people go up and you do well the first time. I did well my first time, and I didn't walk off like I'm the shit. I did, but I knew I wasn't like, oh wow, I'm just like a crazy natural at this. I knew I'd kind of lucked out and done well. It was like I just got like spot you could feel when I went on stage. One of the things you could just feel was like, oh, the shit I wrote will like fit well here, and this guy just did well before me. They're in a good mood. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like it was a game that it was set up for me to lose. And all black comedy club, and it went well. And then I was like, but I said I didn't leave it cocky. I was just like, oh, I can do this. Like, and that felt good. Like I liked making people laugh. And then I ate shit plenty after that.
Do you remember the first time you bombed?
Yeah, the next week I went back. I didn't do well for like months after that.
What'd that feel like to bomb?
Awful. And then you hang there still because you want to be around comedians and talk shit because there's no one. By the second week of doing comedy, there's no one when you go home that wants to talk about this. They don't give a shit.
Right.
But there's people there who are open micing too who want to talk about it nonstop. And then you learn through time they want to do writing sessions with you and set up all these weird like comedy community things that I don't fully understand. But they but they just want to talk about it forever. And I was so intrigued by that. And then 3 weeks after I started, Kevin Hart started.
Oh, wow.
And then me and him became like buddies, started hanging out, just playing video games and basketball and shit, and doing comedy together. And then 3 weeks after Kurt Metzger started.
Okay.
And then me and him like became like really tight also. So like, and then the three of us just sort of rolled around to that black comedy circuit and then the occasional like mainstream open mic somewhere.
Where do you remember what your first place was?
Yeah, the Laugh House. The
Oh,
Laugh
wow.
House in Philadelphia. That was the first place I performed for months, and then got a gig at a place called Roy's Comfort Zone. That was all
the
black
Comfort
show.
Zone?
Roy's Comfort Zone, it was called. It was on Cecil B. Moore and Broad Street in Philadelphia, which is the heart of North Philadelphia. And I went up on stage. They booed. They were so bad. They basically sent me on my way, and then I tried to escape out the back door, but it didn't exist. So I ended up going through a weird like hatch that put me in between walls. And I was able to get into a restaurant next door and leave through their kitchen. They were pretty mad about it. But I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of there because it went bad.
What advice would you give comics for when they bomb?
When you're bombing, I think, like keeping your composure. If you could like work on that, because it's something that takes a while to learn. Like, so you really can't teach anybody anything other than I can try to save them some time. I always say by saying, pay attention to this.
Okay.
And it's like when you're bombing, like try to keep your composure. That's the thing. Like bomb and don't get like nasty. Don't get angry at the person who's like, you know, heckling at you. Don't get angry. Don't make it so. I said when someone's heckling me shitty, I am angry. But I know how to like focus that. You're not going to get me going like, oh yeah? Oh yeah? Well, because once you get to there, you just look kind of childish. Yeah. Where it's more like, I think if you have the personality when someone's like, well, you fucking suck. And you're going like, yeah, I don't know how to argue with that. Like, I guess it's not your thing. Like, you know, like, I guess, buddy. And then the more they get like that, they don't realize, like, if you're keeping composed, they're digging their hole. Doing that, because nobody really wants to get behind someone being one of the fucking Cobra Kais. You know what I mean? Like, right. No one's going to get behind this guy being, like, extremely mean to someone who's going, like, because I'm good at that kind of, like, I just came here to make you laugh, buddy. I'm sorry. It's not your deal, but, like, you're just being kind of rude, you know? I don't give a shit. And then the crowd's kind of going like, this guy's a dick. And then I said moments later, you can be like, I hope your mom gets AIDS raped into her later. And the crowd's like, yeah, fuck that guy's mom. Because like, you just manipulated them to like, you know, like let that guy look like the asshole where I'm just trying to like, you know, you really are. By the way, that's not bullshit either. It is that
You do hope her mom gets AIDS raped.
I do. No, but it is that innocent. Like why I get so angry at like someone heckling or really coming at me shitty is because like my intention walking on stage was I was like, when you're backstage, you're like, oh man, I hope this crowd really likes me. I hope they really enjoy themselves and, you know, think they had the best time ever and saw the funniest show ever and they want to shake hands afterwards and hug and take a picture. And it's that innocent. So when someone's like, you fucking suck, bro, you're like, come on, man. But I get how they can do that. I'm sympathetic to how they can feel they can be that aggressive because my comedy is aggressive. Sure. And it will be like, where'd you meet this fucking goofy motherfucker right here? And but while I'm doing that, I swear I'm like, also, sir, thank you so much for being here for the show. It's like, you're not goofy. Like, you know, it's like, I'm so quick to go outside and the front row who were awesome, man. I mean, I'm so quick to be like, man, you guys, thank you so much for just playing it and just not being like fucking uptight and weird when I brought up whatever and shit, you know, it means something to me.
It is so weird for okay, look at these nerds. It is so weird for me as someone who very much likes to burn people when people take it personally and don't appreciate, because if someone lands a joke on me, it's hilarious. Yeah. Like how, and also you paid money to be in this room. It's not like you wandered in off the street. So someone is clowning you and if you don't think it's funny, if everyone else in the room is laughing, maybe there's some other data to go by.
Well, that's why I'm always so intrigued by the Impractical Jokers so much. Those guys are so great to me because just that I look at that as I'll say crazy over the top inappropriate things to someone in a comedy club. Whether it be like aggressively at them, like but playfully, or, you know, just about whatever situation to the whole audience. Very aggressive. But I also feel like that's the nonverbal contract when you walked into the comedy club that you're like, yeah, it could get harsh. It could get whatever. I mean, we should probably just take it all like with a grain of salt.
It's like a Gallagher show. Yeah.
Right.
You're going to get the watermelon.
Exactly. And then, but why I'm so impressed with Impractical Jokers, because exactly all the things I would say when they come up and go to a couple and they'll be like, all right, say to this couple, hey, it's really cool you to bring your mom out for the weekend. Yeah. When it's like a couple and you see them, their faces go like, hey, it's really you see them like go like, wait, I don't know if I can say that. And I get that. So I love that. I love that thing.
The worst thing I've ever seen probably in terms of cringe was an episode of Practical Jokers. It was punishment, right? Sal got punished, and Sal's the sweetheart of the group. And his punishment was he had to be the delivery guy, and no matter how much money they tipped him, he had to say it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And I watched
that was
it.
cringe.
I still even
office building, right? And
yeah,
everyone kept coming to the lobby of the office building.
And they're giving him like $10. And he's like, that's it. That's all you have. And you're like, you are berating these people who are being kind and generous to a fellow human.
And he's like, I just don't have, I don't have a big fancy office job like you, but it's okay. And then they'll go, some of them come back down with more money.
I know. And then he's like, that's it. And then like, or it'd be like, oh, this isn't for me. This is for Steven. He's like, can I talk to Steven? And it's just like, and I don't know how he did it.
It looks so difficult.
I'm sure it's even worse to live it.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, without a doubt. He comes back shell-shocked from some of those things, I think, just like having to be mean to people like that. Or situations where you're about to get hit.
Oh, yeah.
Because I said I feel like there's no contract there. It's like you're really fucking with the unsuspecting. And it's great. I love it. Like I said, the show is so wonderful to me for that reason. But it's also why I'm intrigued by it is because I'm like, I'd bail on some of those things so early. Maybe the only thing is having that earpiece in.
Sure.
Let you hear someone laughing. So you kind of like can be run by the idea. It's like, it's working for sure. Because if it's just a moment of you saying something weird to a guy and him looking at you, like he wants to bite your fucking head off, I can see you being like, shit.
Yeah, and I deserve it.
This is awkward.
No matter what he does, I brought this on
yeah.
myself. He's
and
minding his own business.
And also, I should be hit.
Yeah. Okay, Jay, we're running out of time.
Hell yeah.
What has been your favorite part of this interview?
I always like talking comedy talk. I'm talking stand-up comedy talk.
All right. You are welcome. Or something humorous.